if you're new to carnivore, you probably have already had somebody say to you, hey, what about fiber? Hey, what about cholesterol? And start peppering you with a bunch of questions. In today's video, I'm going to talk a little bit about the two main objections that people have to carnivore and what you can say to help them and to alleviate any concern that they have for you. Because people mean well, they really do. I have people that come up to me, they know I just eat meat the majority of the time, and they're just concerned about my health. I had one of my sisters basically say to me, I don't want something to happen to you. Yeah, maybe things are okay right now, but down the line they might not be, and I don't want something to happen to you because you were just being short-sighted. So often people mean well. People are generally on some spectrum between curiosity and condemnation. There are some people that are straight up, they just know for sure that eating meat a lot is bad for you. And on the other hand, there are people who are curious that they might see, hey, he seems to be pretty lean, he seems to be in good shape, his energy seems to be good, maybe there's something to this. And so you meet people on both ends of the spectrum and all in between, and it's been cool for me to see people go from more of that condemnation side to being more curious, because after you watch me long term, you see that he seems to be doing pretty good. He's doing better than I am. And that's what often happens. I'll have people that are in worse shape than I am that are on the condemnation side. And you kind of go, huh? You're not in good shape yourself, but you seem to be concerned about me not being in good shape, but I am in good shape. So I want to talk about the two main objections and give an example of each one. The first main objection that people have to carnivore is that they will say, hey, there's going to be something missing from your diet that you need. And I was talking to someone the other day that said this. She said to me, well, isn't there's something that's missing when you just eat meat all the time? So let me give you the response. I said, well, like what? So it's tempting to go on the defensive when somebody asks you a point-blank question like that. But instead of going on the defensive, what you can do instead is just go on the offensive and ask them, hey, what do you mean by that? Are you aware of some nutrient or some vitamins or minerals or something specific that I need that I don't get when I'm only eating meat? Now again, when I say I just eat meat, I also include things like salt. I also take creatine. I have some apple cider vinegar from time to time. There are other things I'm having, but when I talk about what I'm eating specifically, it's meat. And so they're saying, well, you probably need some fruits and vegetables. You need something else besides just meat. And so the answer that I like to give, or the question I like to ask is, well, like what? And so in this case, I was talking to someone the other day that asked that, and I said, well, like what? What is it that I need? Now, I'm not asking it in a flippant way. I'm not trying to do this in a way to disparage you, but just to get you to think, what is it exactly that I need? Now, in some cases, people will say, well, what about fiber? Don't you need some fiber? So that's, to me, probably the biggest or the most common response. If I ask, well, like what? What is it that I'm missing if I just eat meat? Some people will say fiber. And so then, again, well, are you sure that someone needs fiber? Because a lot of times the doctors say it, or you watch some Metamucil commercial or something like that. But one of the things I will explain to people is the nature of fiber. And so that's where you can maybe educate people a little bit. The nature of fiber is that it's something that really blunts the spike of blood sugar that might come when you're eating some fruits specifically. That's really the primary utility of something like fiber. That if I just drink fruit juice, the way that spikes my blood sugar is going to be different than if I eat the fruit itself with the fiber. So in that case, yes, fiber would be good for me in the sense that it really causes me to not have these large sugar spikes that can happen as a result of me eating fruit or something like that. But in the end, if I don't eat fruit, then I don't need the fiber. The other part to fiber is that there are many people who have irritable bowel and have real issues digesting fiber, because fiber is not something that your body breaks down. And so it basically just comes out when you have a bowel movement. So it's not something that your body's actually breaking down. It's not something that has some kind of nutrients there. So you don't really need that, but you've been told that you do. And so people are concerned and they'll say, you're missing fiber. And when you can point out to them, well, no, I don't eat any fruit or something that's going to spike my blood sugar, so I don't need fiber to be this thing that keeps my blood sugar from spiking. People then go, oh, huh. So the second major objection that often people give, the first one is you're missing something. The second one is that there's some kind of adverse side effect that you just don't know about. Right? There's something that's happening to you that you don't know about. Sometimes they'll say, well, there's probably stuff that's happening. There are these side effects that you do know about, but often they'll point to something that you might not know about. So for example, sometimes people will say, well, yeah, you probably have to go to the bathroom much more. You probably have more gas and stuff like that. And the truth is that it's actually the opposite. When I'm on carnivore, bowel movements are quick. You're in and out of the bathroom really fast. I don't have a lot of gas. And even if I do pass gas, you can't even tell. I can be in a room with people and pass gas when I am on carnivore, and it doesn't smell. And I know you're going to be like, no, that's not true. But it is true. You can ask other people that are carnivores that it does not stink the same way. Sometimes, again, doesn't smell at all the way it is when you eat a lot of carbohydrates. Now, here's the flip side to that. When I start eating a bunch of carbohydrates, maybe I'm in Nashville with my family and we're celebrating something, and so I'm eating maybe some rice, potatoes, some fruit, that kind of thing. It's still considered by people to be healthy, but there will be a difference in how I have to go to the restroom. More often, I have more gas and it smells worse. So people will often say, well, you're going to have this adverse side effect. But often it's actually when you eat more carbohydrates that you have more of those side effects. Now, the other thing is, sometimes they'll say, well, you're having a side effect that you don't know about. And that's fair, that it might be possible that there's something happening to me that I don't know about. But the one that I hear the most often is, what about your cholesterol? And the truth is, my LDL cholesterol is high. And every time I get blood work done, I use private MD labs. I've done a video about that. There's a link below if you want to check your own blood work. You don't have to have a doctor. Private MD labs will basically connect you with a doctor who will sign off to get the blood work done, but you never have to talk to this person, and you get the results that come straight to you. Usually I'll get the blood work done on a Tuesday, and by Wednesday night, sometimes it might take till Thursday morning, but I'll have all my results. I'll have my A1C, I'll have my insulin and blood sugar, just everything that I'm specifically looking for. I'll have all that stuff. So every time my LDL cholesterol is high, and they'll give me some special note like, well, your LDL cholesterol is really high. You might have not hyperinsulinemia, it's hypercholesterolemia or something like that. And because that is like an immediate red flag to people. And of course, doctors would probably try to put me on a statin or something like that. Even though my HDL cholesterol is good, it's high, my triglycerides are low, my A1C is in normal range, and my insulin is low and my blood glucose is low. Despite that, they would still be like, hey, you need to lower that LDL cholesterol. But as far as I can tell, there's no evidence that lowering LDL cholesterol is actually worse. In fact, it might be that it's good for you to have that cholesterol, and that there are some positive benefits to that. So my response is generally what I just did, is to educate people on, well, okay, why would LDL cholesterol be bad? A lot of times when you're responding to people with these things, you want to ask a question and then be able to supply them with a little bit of education, because most people don't know anything about any of this stuff. And so they might be on the side of condemnation, but they will still talk to you as if they just know for a fact that things are the way they say they should, that they are. That cholesterol is bad, that fiber is good, and when you can give them a little bit of education, that's usually helpful. So when somebody comes up to you, you don't have to freeze. If you just operate from that place of curiosity and you say to them, you ask them questions, what do you mean by that? Or, well, I hadn't heard that. This is what I've found about fiber, about cholesterol, about whatever adverse side effect that they say that you have, or whatever thing that they say you're missing. Those are the two main things that people do. They'll say, you're missing something, or there's this bad thing that's happening, you just don't know about it yet. And what you have to do is gently say, hey, I'm feeling really good, and I check my blood work regularly, and this is what I know about these things. And so I'm thankful that this is a way of eating that is eating God's food. God, I'll end with this. In Genesis chapter 9, when Noah and his family get off the ark, verse 3 says that God says to Noah, every moving thing that lives shall be food for you. As I gave you, I've given you all things as I gave you the green herbs. So earlier in Genesis chapter 2, Adam and Eve at that point were given plants to eat. And there's nothing in the scripture there that says that they were given meat. But when Noah comes off the ark, God explicitly gives him meat to eat. So this is something that's biblical. It is biblical for you to eat meat. That fits into God's foods. So for me, somebody who's trying to do things biblically, carnivore is a biblical subset of the foods that God has given. And I have found that it has really helped me in my health and really reverse my prediabetes in a short period of time. And it helps me keep my weight down, keeps my insulin low, and my HDL cholesterol high, my triglycerides low. And so eating God's way is going to result in good outcomes. And so God gave meat there in Genesis chapter 9. And so I'm thankful for that.